Today on The Chef's Cut, we have the winner of Top Chef Season 23, the newest winner, Chef Rhoda Magbitang. She walks us through the highs and lows of her finale dishes.
She did give me a concerned look when I told you that I wasn't making a dessert.
How leaning into her culture and comfort gave her the edge for the win.
What's the food that gives me comfort right now?
And what's next for her after Top Chef?
I always say there are easier ways to lose money than open a restaurant.
But first, Chef's Cut Nation, we need 10 seconds of your time. Please remember to just rate and review the show wherever you get your pods. It really helps us keep this going. Joe, I am so pumped for today's episode. Chef's Cut Nation is not going to believe this, but we have an exclusive first, hot off the press for the Chef's Cut. We have the newest winner of Top Chef, fresh off of her win. Isn't that amazing? And you,
mentor.
Yes, Joe. You know, what can I say? You're a winner. You mentor winners. You pick winners. Listen, you're on a roll.
If you're keeping track, that's me 2-0 in finales.
Ooh,
I just want to say. So you know what I mean? Maybe if this restaurant thing doesn't, work out,
you just
become a competitive Top Chef coach.
Hell yeah, I'm sure you can earn a ton of money every year by doing that, and you're clearly on a hot streak. So congratulations to you too for the win.
I'm on a heater, No, I mean, it was, it's awesome for Rhoda. It was really, really cool being there. I don't know that I helped whatsoever, but I was really, really excited to get to be there and watch her win and root for her so much.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Our own Joe Flamm, the finale judge and the mentor of the winner, who we have here with us today. Everybody, welcome Chef Rhoda. Rhoda, it is so good to have you here. Thanks so much for joining us.
This is super exciting. I've been listening to your podcast from the very beginning last year.
Well, we've been watching your season from the very beginning.
This has got to feel crazy right now where you finally get to say, I won Top Chef. Like, you are the winner of Top Chef. Does that even compute in your head right now?
Well, now that I'm talking to you, because you were in the finale with me, yes, it's definitely coming together, but I couldn't really wrap my head around it up until, it's finally announced.
Right.
It's one of those things that you just don't really you don't want to think about it too much because you either get too excited or you're just so did that really happen?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And you can't say anything to anybody.
Right.
No,
it's like a fever dream.
Exactly.
Because even we had Tristan not that long ago, and Tristan talked about it when he won his season. Same thing. Joe went through, same thing you just went through. You win. And then you've got this months-long period, 6 months, 8 months, however long it is from the finale taping to actually airing. And you can't say anything. Tristan said he was making chalupas for Marcus at an event in Miami. And he's like, you guys just wait. You just wait until this airs and you know that I won.
Yeah. And I mean, because I looked it up. I looked up pictures from it yesterday and I was like, that was back in October when we were there. And it's I remember when I won, it was I won. And then it was I was running service 3 days later, back at work. I was running Spiaggia.
That's, yeah.
And it was what just happened?
I didn't do that. I went on a retreat in Topanga Canyon and just locked myself in a cabin
Nice.
and just kind of decompressed. And, I was able to do that, which I felt was such a treat after that experience.
We want to know, I want you to tell us about the finale. Joe and I were talking about it. We saw it from his perspective because he was there, but I was not there. So there is so much perspective that you guys have from being there together for this finale. Were you really sad when you saw that you were going to be paired up with Joe? Were you like, oh, I'm gonna fucking lose?
Well, actually, quite the contrary. I was very excited. Like it's funny because they were walking down this bridge at Grandfather Mountain. Is that what it was called?
Yeah, it's Grandfather Mountain.
Grandfather
I think
Mountain.
we were at like 4,000 or 5,000 feet of altitude.
Whoa.
Yeah, no big deal. Fantastic views, and we weren't allowed to look, or we weren't allowed to turn around because, like Kristen, Tom, and Gail kept saying, like, don't turn around, don't turn around. But we hear these footsteps. And this was after we had drawn knives of like, first names of random people. And I'm like, what is this? Madonna, Cher, like Joe, Sarah, and Stephanie. I was like, I couldn't really put two and two together until, I saw them. And I picked the Joe knife. And I was like so excited when I turned around and it was you.
That's so cool.
It was such a wild setup, right? Because like we're walking in pretty cold. Like obviously they're not like, oh, here, let us show you every episode that's led up to this point. You know what I mean? We don't know much about the chefs. They're just they give us a quick rundown. They tell us how it's going to go. They bring us to the top of a mountain at 7 a.m.
You got there at 7 a.m.?
Yeah, we were there super early.
Oh my gosh.
Because we had to do a bunch of shots before you guys got out there.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want you to see us, right? And then I can't remember. Had you guys picked your sous chefs already at that point? Or did you pick sous chefs afterwards?
Yeah, I think we did already pick our sous chefs. Because you were joking with me about Seeger. You're like, the Chicago boys.
Yeah, you picked all the Chicago boys. You had me, you had Seeger, so you had the Midwest crew rolling heavy. So I felt really good about your odds.
So what made you choose Seeger for your sous chef?
A lot of us went to Seeger for advice, whether it's like just technical or just anything, cooking wise, techniques, all of that stuff. And he's a really smart guy. Like he's really technically sound, and he just knows his shit. And so and he's very clean. He's very organized. Like he's always the first person to like finish shop. Like he just knows like what to do. And so he's very self-sufficient. And so for me, like I didn't want a sous chef that I have to babysit. And I know that he can just handle his own. And also, I mean, I think your season 2, you guys didn't have time in between, the semifinals and the finale.
Nope.
They give us
Did you have time? Yeah, they literally get.
No, we didn't have time. I mean, like usually in the past, I've seen them take like a week or 2 break and then they go somewhere else. You guys stayed in Colorado. We stayed in North Carolina. So we didn't really have, that much time to like really come home and sort of like gather more information or, just like regroup.
Right. R&D, some ideas.
Something like that. I mean, but.
Yeah, because you hear the stories about people like in the really old seasons, they had like months off and people would go, they would go stage, they would go work for people. They would go like learn stuff for the finale to like, and they spent 6 months like R&Ding that menu, working on it, all that. And when you're like, going straight into it, it's like, okay, like you think you're out and you're like, all right, well, it's just like, okay, now all you have to do is cook the best meal in your life.
Right. Oh, no biggie.
Right. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. That's all that's between you and the finish line is the best 4 courses you have ever put on plates in your whole entire life. That's it. You know what I mean? They're like, it's just, there you go. Just do that.
They're like, that's
it's so simple.
Can I also just say something? I mean, and this is why I just felt like I hit the jackpot with picking Joe. He went through Last Chance Kitchen as well, same as me. And, like one of the first things he told me was like, you went through Last Chance Kitchen. These guys are tired. They're wiped out of ideas. You're fresh. And like, I'm like, you know what? You're right. I am fresh.
Mm-hmm. He is so right about that. you know, it's like in Last Chance Kitchen, you're still going through a gauntlet, right? Depending on what stage you get there. Sometimes you have to go through a lot of competitors. Sometimes you come in and you just knock out one or two and then you're back on the show. But Joe was like, oh, I slept. I had time to like sleep. Nobody's waking me up.
I slept in a big boy bed. You know what
Right.
I mean?
You
I've been
did.
sleeping on a bunk bed that was a foot shorter than my body for weeks. And then they were like, here's an actual bed that fits a, you know, Midwestern sized human. And I was like, oh man, this is incredible.
It's crazy. And so like you came back all rested and refreshed and I'm like haggard and like exhausted. I'm like, I hate you so much.
Well,
right
that's
now.
what it was like, you know, when I came in and I saw Rhoda, like, you know, they told me she'd come back from Last Chance Kitchen. Like I did. I was like, you know, my whole thing was like, it's like, listen, you're at the finish line here. I mean, there's nothing I can tell you that's going to make or break your day. So I was just trying to come in and be like, I'm just going to drive the hype train. I'm just going to come
Right.
in with like energy and drive the hype train and be like, let's fucking go. Like, let's just.
Joe,
brought
you're
the
such a good
vibes, for
cheerleader.
sure.
Like,
You
yeah,
really
I'm
did.
a vibes guy. I'm a
Joe
vibes guy.
got you
know
got
what I
me
mean? Like,
pumped our season. You kept me like pumped up all the time too. So like I know that feeling, Rhoda, when he's like, "Man, you got this." Like, come on, we can.
Oh man.
You know, it's like I see him doing the same thing at the restaurants when I come to Chicago. He's like pumping up the cooks and the sous chefs and everybody's like
we're
hype and
literally
it's this
just
energy.
like standing on top of a mountain, just like barking at the other chefs. You know what I mean? They look scared. I could tell they were scared.
No,
you know?
you did. You did give me a concerned look when I told you that I wasn't making a dessert.
Me and Adrienne were talking about this. So you guys had the 4 courses.
Yeah.
And that was like my first question after we met. Because you and I, we have that menu meeting. You tell me about your menu. And then you're like, I'm not doing dessert. And I was like,
I would have done a dessert if they.
they.
I know. Well, here's the thing. I definitely would have done a dessert if they didn't put in the dish dedication, because you have to dedicate each dish to something or someone or a place that meant something to you in your life and your career. And, you know, for me, just nothing dessert wise really stood out to me as far as like, you know, making a dish for that. And I felt like, you know, my dishes were just fine being all savory.
I kind of want to talk about, you know, the whole thing a little bit, just like how you felt going through it. Because like obviously you come out, you know, you win at the end, but you know, people don't understand the roller coaster of emotions of like, okay, you're in the finale, right? You get that moment, that first realization, you're literally standing on top of the mountain. You know, Sherry, Lawrence are there. You see us get the menu going. You know, you get into the kitchen and cook that finale. Cooking through that dinner, like one, how did you feel during the cook? Like, were you like, all right, this is rolling, this is going great, like I'm hitting, or were you like unsure, second guessing? Like, how did you feel going through that day while it was happening in real time?
During the cook, I was fine. Like and I'm always like this. Like I just, you know, when I'm cooking, I know what I want and I know what I want to get out of the dishes that I'm making. But then in retrospect, you know, I walk away and I'm like, I could have done this, I could have done this, and I could have done this. And so
the time in between is brutal.
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
brutal.
when they're like setting up
It's
judges
brutal.
table where you're just waiting, where you sit in the silence and you think about every component.
Then
every
yeah, that's when you
dish.
start dissecting everything.
Exactly. And the judges definitely, you know, help you second guess yourself a lot.
Yeah.
Joseph.
You know, just slightly. But that's what they do, right? Like that's their job. And so, you know, for me, I definitely could rattle off like 50 things that I could have done better. But at the time of the cook, there's so much going on, and there's, you know, cameras and producers and, you know, the other chefs, and you just have to be able to drown out that noise and just concentrate on what you're doing. And with me and Seeger, we're just humming. We're just like completely, you know, like I tell him what he needs to do. And like, we basically like got done with like our list, you know, 75% of our stuff was done like the day before, and everything else is just pickup finale day. And so I felt good about it. Like, I just felt like I didn't have a lot of things that I know are going to complicate my dishes.
Yeah, I mean, you guys felt cool, calm, collected back there. From sitting at the table, because how it worked, age is like I was at the final table, but then we went from, I think there was 12 of us at the final table till they only go and they went to judges table with only 4 chefs, right? So we all had a conversation about it at the final table as we're going dish by dish, as we're going course by course, and it was so close. It was so close. Like I sat
Wow.
through those 4, courses, and it's funny because like all of us, me, Sarah, and Steph, we all have our person, right? That we're helping. So we're all there, like we're like your lobbyist,
Right,
what I
right.
mean, at that table, where it's like any dish, and especially like because you had told me some of the backstory of the dishes, so I'm like, oh well, you got to understand here, like this is what we're doing. You know what I mean? Like we're like, I am selling at that table,
Yes.
like
Putting
hard.
in
You know what I mean?
work.
So is Steph. So like
Your other sous chef.
we're all politicking over there. You know what I mean? And but when we left after the final course goes, you know what I mean? You all put out a phenomenal dinner. You know what I mean? You all left it all out there, and it's just like you see it at all your faces, like just the level of like, not just like, man, I'm spent, but like the level of like emotional exhaustion of like, I
Yes.
just put it all out there. You know what I mean? I just put myself on a plate. I put myself out on this dinner. I threw it all on the table. I left it all on the floor. And it's just like, it's so incredible to see. Like, it's like just sitting there on the other side of it. Like, my heart is just pounding the whole time. So they take you guys away. They take us away. So we walked away from it, Sarah, Steph, and I, and we were like, we don't know.
Wow. There was no like clear winner.
No, it was like, I was like, I don't know. Like, so then we have, like 6 hours till we go back to their judges table, because we're not sitting through the whole judges table.
Okay.
Right. So we're like spending 6 hours talking about everything, second guessing everything for them. Well, I don't know about this. Like, what if this is this? And so it was like crazy. So it was, when we got to go back. And so I was standing there and got to stand there at judges table when they told you were top chef. But as you were standing there, right before the moment they said it, in your head, were you like, I got this? What did you feel? Were you like, this is like, did you know? Or were you like,
did you think it could go either way?
I kind of knew.
Nice.
Is that weird?
no?
Is that a weird thing to say?
I think in the finale, it's one because it's so head to head that I think it's the one judges table you sit through where you have a good idea. I think when it's like final 4, final 3, final, like for us, it was final 2, obviously. But I feel like those were the only judges table, age, and maybe you feel different, where it was like, it felt more obvious because there were so few of us, where you're like, you kind of knew where things were going to fall.
Oh, like I guess so. In some ways,
it was
yes.
like dish to dish. You know what I mean? Like,
but I thought I kind of had you. I'm not gonna lie. I thought there was a chance.
I mean, listen, I just rewatched your season too, and so I needed to see it. And just, like sometimes, like I rewatch seasons of Top Chef, like the older ones, and I kind of like try to like analyze how the judges talk about the dishes and the winning dishes and like the not winning dishes. And so they have a really good way of maybe like veering your attention like to where you might think that you're not it. And so
I knew the way Tom was talking about the octopus being dry, because again, we're at altitude. I should have cooled them in the liquid. He kept coming back to the dry octopus. I was like, dude, fucking get over it. Look at all the other courses. Like, get over it. Okay, the octopus was dry. My bad. I've never cooked at altitude before. Way to fucking learn a lesson on the fly.
Yep.
But like, Tom, get past it, buddy, and like look at the other courses. So I thought there was a chance if he could get over that, but he just kept coming back to it. I was like, oh, toast, done. But talk us through your dishes. You don't have to give us full long, but like give us the menu description for the courses that you did.
So I did a version of like a sweet potato dish that I used to make when I was cooking in California, and it's with uni. And I did like a miso and creme fraiche, and I found some like, really cool sweet potato leaves from the Asian market in Charlotte. And so, like I just grilled that over charcoal. Super simple, just kind of letting the ingredients speak for itself. That's kind of like my ode to California. And then my second course was for my mom, and I did like a play on the congee, but I used abalone, and I did an abalone liver mousse with braised abalone and crispy shiitakes and some other stuff. And then in third course, I did like an eggplant omelet, which is like a first food memory, and with like some crispy pork belly and a Chinese sausage XO, and like a side of just like a chili vinegar that we usually eat with it. And the fourth course is a braised short rib with liver sauce. And that's for my dad. And then, yeah, I mean, I went Filipino on this menu. And it's something that I don't really cook professionally, which again, another sort of surprising element that, like I even surprised myself when I decided that I wanted to go in this direction, because it's not something that I cooked really like much like this level, and so
even throughout the season, you had hints and you had accents and you had components here and there of Filipino cuisine, but you really leaned into it into the finale and coming out of Last Chance Kitchen, like that was where you really started to go harder on that and really tap into it, which is kind of like Nina Compton and me in the finale. Like I had never cooked the kind of food that I grew up eating either professionally, that it wasn't something that I really leaned into, maybe bits and pieces here and there, little subtle shout outs, but it wasn't until the finale that I really leaned into it also. So what made you do that? What inspired you to kind of take that really on for the finale?
I think there's like a little bit of shyness that comes with cooking food that you grew up with, especially for, a lot of immigrant kids. They're, I'm classically trained chef, cook, whatever. And so there wasn't a lot of application to that food, that I can apply to like with my knowledge and how I was trained. And so for some reason, being on Top Chef and, not having the devices that you usually have to like look something up or, just like look back at your old notebooks or cookbooks or whatever, like you sort of, you're forced to dig deep, and you're forced to just like, like what's the food that like gives me comfort right now? And you kind of revert back to like the things that and that makes you just happy, because there's not a lot of that like around when you're in a competition setting.
Yeah, that's so true.
And we talked to Gail about that a lot. And I think one of the things that is so special about that show is they're so good at finding chefs at the right point, where it's like you're super technically sound, you're really, really good. And I think, for myself and Adrienne, it was the same case. But it's like, it's almost like you're still looking for your voice a little bit. And I think like that show is such a great, like in the most pressurized way, in the most insane, intense way, like forces you to have a voice, to have a perspective, to have a point of view that you have to put forward. And I thought, like sitting there talking to you about your finale meal for the first time and then seeing it, play out over the course of the plates, that was so exciting to me and just like told me so much about you. Of like, you were like, I'm going to cook this food that's important to me. And I think when we do that as chefs, when we do stuff that is super genuine to ourselves, we always make the best stuff.
And after that, like 2-month gauntlet of being away from the familiarity of your own kitchen, your own staff, your own sous, like your whole team, your family, your life, like you're away from everybody. So maybe I hadn't thought about it like that, but maybe that's kind of like why you're forced to lean into what brings you comfort and joy and that familiarity. So you're putting out your dishes and your menu looked phenomenal. Everything looked gorgeous. the competitors' dishes were also looking really good. So what were you thinking as you're seeing Sherry and Lawrence's dishes come out also?
I'm extremely and still am intimidated by Sherry and Lawrence. I think both of them are incredible chefs, and they're both really technically sound, and and they had a lot going on, and I felt like I didn't have enough going on. And it's almost like both of them were so nervous about their prep list, and I just wasn't at all. There wasn't any point in time during prep and cook that I felt like, I was struggling for time. And both of them were really talking about like how they wish that they had more time. And so it started, this train of thought in my head, like, am I not doing enough? And so I just had to drown that out because I can't think about it too much. But, their dishes look incredible because we were all plating at the same time, and I couldn't help but just like look over, and, Sherry's plating is always stunning, and Lawrence knows what he's doing. He knows what he's going for. And he just, as Joe would say, he just sends it. And so like for me, I had to like at some point I just needed to put some blinders on.
Yeah. It's
over.
such an easy thing to say. You know what I mean? I feel like Tom told us that early in our season. I think it was the first episode. He was like, don't worry about what everyone else is doing. Just do your thing. It's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, sure.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, that would be great in life too if I didn't worry about what any other chef or any other person was doing.
Yeah, okay.
And I just, if I just kept my blinders on and stayed focused. It's like, yeah, fucking right. Like
easy.
What person is actually like that? Because it's hard. You get a glimpse. But yeah, you got to be like, I got to turn right back. Yeah. I'm doing my food. They're doing their food.
Right.
Like, you can't play defense in this. You know what I mean? It's an all offensive game. Like, there's nothing you could do to make their dish better or worse. So it's just all about how good yours is.
So let's pull back a little bit and look at the entire season, because like Sherry kind of like built up as the season went on. Lawrence was always, he came out pretty strong and stayed that way. You came out the gates hot too. Like you came out burning it up. And then how did you feel about like kind of your cooking throughout the season, your arc, your story, as they are always like putting together our narrative? How did you feel about your overall on the season?
I'm going to be completely honest. When I won the first 2 challenges, and, they're kind of like making a big deal out of like, oh, no one's ever done this before. And I'm like, yeah, right. Like you guys are just, whatever. It's fine. And so I just kind of, I don't want to say that I like just sort of, no, I didn't. I will never say I just phoned it in. Like none of the challenges I just phoned in, but I definitely was a little bit bolder on like maybe taking on, dishes that I'm not extremely comfortable doing. And so just to kind of like, cause I know I have to fit certain challenges, and I tend to like take things really literally. Like, for example,
me too.
The monkfish debacle, like where they just hated that monkfish. By the way, side note, that shop, I saw monkfish and I go, hey, is there more monkfish in the back? And I want to make sure that this was never frozen. And so like they brought me monkfish from the back. I smelled it. I touched it. They said it was never frozen. Fine. And the way that they described the whole thing, like that it was spongy and watery. I'm like, this fucking monkfish was frozen. Definitely frozen.
And you don't know that until you cook it.
No,
the cellular structure after it's been frozen and those ice crystals break the cells, you will never know until you cook it. Oh my God.
But then you're like, oh, this isn't searing quite right. And
like, yeah. And
where's
all
this moisture?
And then I honestly thought like, okay, they're going to look for some dehydrated actual items on the plate. I didn't know that you can dehydrate things and then rehydrate them. I'm like, what the fuck's the point?
Right.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
So
like
I just did
made,
the
like,
step just for the sake of it.
right. So I was like, okay, this is kind of bullshit, but whatever. It's fine.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like, that's a hard thing in the challenge where it's like, sometimes I felt like there were ones where I was like, I did the most challenging challenge thing. And then like, you know, somebody would win and you're like, you didn't even do the fucking thing.
Right,
Like,
right,
you know what I mean?
right,
It's
yeah.
like, give me some bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like,
Yes.
and like, that's, I think the most frustrating part. Like the only one that I remember, I like, where it was like one where we were at like an amusement park and we had to do like a dumpling and a radler. We had to do like a German thing and a
Oh,
radler.
yeah.
Oh
I
yeah,
remember
yeah.
that one.
Yep. And I did something that was so German, and they told me it wasn't German because it wasn't their stereotype of German. I was like, you guys don't even know German. Part of my family's fucking German, and you're
Yeah.
telling me this isn't German?
You're like, das is
Oh, I was
bullshit.
Holy Scheiße.
Yeah. And I was like, I remember I was like, I made like a dumpling with like a pretzel wrapper on it, like this mustard sauce. I was like, this
Yep.
is fire radler, like all this. And I was just like, totally. They were like, yeah, it was like fine. I was like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? It was like, it was awesome.
I
like,
forgot all about that challenge. Oh, that made me so mad, Rhoda.
That's
I
the
feel
one
you.
where it's
I
like,
feel
of
you.
all the things, like when I went home, listen, my dish, I knew I was going home. Like, it was not good. I was
Oh, the risotto thing?
yeah, the fucking cauliflower.
Yeah.
Like, I knew I was getting sent for making a David Kitch dish for David Kitch. And like, I knew I was cooked. But like, those were the ones that I still like think about. I'm like, man, that fucking dumpling was awesome.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
I definitely, and then the whole meringue thing, and which is so funny to me.
Talk about the meringue thing.
It's so funny to me because I have in my notebook, I have 2 recipes for meringue, one for a soft meringue and one for a hard meringue. And I did the soft meringue. And you know, when you have your ingredients, you can't go back to the store and get some more. And so I used up all my eggs to make this stupid meringue, and then I made a soft meringue. It's you know, that was not my intention, and I didn't even think about it. The infamous 4-hour meringue. I'll never live that down. I'll never live that down. And the thing is, I've made that dish so many times, so many iterations. For some reason, I just couldn't make it on Top Chef.
It's crazy, right? You're like, I know this. I know how to do this. I swear I know how to do this.
I've made that dish so many times, and I love the combination of it. I just like, I knew like I could pull it off. And was I wrong? Boy, was I wrong.
I feel like those are like the famous last words of like any cooking show. When somebody's like, "Oh, this is like my wheelhouse," it's like, well, you're about to fucking go home.
Yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? Anytime you say, you're like, "Oh yeah, this is like right." Like, I was terrified to say like I could do like anything well, because I was like, the second I said that out loud,
Right.
Oh, I don't.
like,
I don't even say anything.
I'm going down in a ball of flames. But that's what it's like. It's always gets, because it's different. You know what I mean? It's just different. You're in this weird kitchen. There's weird shit going on.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And like, all of a sudden, this thing you've done 1,000 times, you're like, this is a disaster.
Yeah. And I feel you, Rhoda. I did an il flottant. We had a dessert challenge midway through the show at the hotel from The Shining in Colorado. And they wanted us to interpret a dish that was like a nightmare. And so I was like, "Ooh, I'll do like an il flottant where it's like floating in like a red tinted creme anglaise. So it's like floating on blood." Between the altitude, between everything, I was like, I swear I know how to do an il flottant. But like that challenge, I was like, I'm just happy the meringue wasn't like weeping all over the place. It was crazy.
Ugh. I blame the oven, you know, like I blame the humidity. I blame like all these things. I'm like, why is this not working? And then I noticed like how the meringue was forming, you know, like there's a lot more bubbles than there needs to be. And that's how I knew like there wasn't enough sugar in the meringue. And I never lived that down with Tom. He would he would take a stab at it every time he came.
Hey, but listen,
Tom
you got
is so
the last,
petty. Ooh.
you got the last
He
word.
is so
you got
petty.
you got the last laugh. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you did.
You are the winner of Top Chef.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It doesn't meringue. Nobody gives a shit about meringue. You know what I mean?
Right.
No one's gonna put in your Instagram bio. One time I fucked up a meringue. They're gonna put season 23 winner Top Chef. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That is on your title. Every event.
Wait, let me just change that right now.
Watching the season unfold in real time, as you know, as you've just got to experience, is the craziest thing, right? Because it's like all these people watching you on TV. All of a sudden, like you're literally on an island.
I
so
am.
it's like, you know what I mean? And it's like becoming more of a known entity in a small place. Like I'm in a big ass city and I don't play sports. So like people care, but not that much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's not like, you know, it's Chicago. We're a sports town. Like, you know, if I was like a really good high school baseball player, like way more people would know me. But like,
Right.
you know, it's still like a wild thing.
Yeah, you're about to be the biggest thing on the island. Like, this is a huge deal.
It's a huge deal. I think I'm bracing myself. I think, you know, one of the wildest things that happened recently was I was hanging out with Jose Andres in Oahu because, you know, who wouldn't?
Yeah.
And so we were driving around the island and we stopped at this shaved ice place, which is kind of like, I don't even know where it is on the island, but it's in this town called Waimanalo, small town. And this lady coming out of the bathroom, I'm standing right next to Jose. And then she goes, "Oh my God, Rhoda, I just saw you on TV." And Jose's right there. Like,
I love that.
oh, that was so funny. And,
Well,
you know,
crazy.
it's crazy. And then Jose proceeded to tell the guys how to make the shave ice.
Oh,
Their
you're
own
like,
store.
thanks, chef.
Yeah.
We'll have
God,
to
chef,
make
don't
the shaved
embarrass
ice.
me.
You've got such a cool background. It's just so cool how like you brought your heritage. You live in Hawaii, which is such a beautiful melting pot of different cultures and the cuisines that are represented there. And you have this stellar career, amazing resume. You've worked in all these incredible places. And we are so excited to see what you continue to do. So now that you've really leaned in to Filipino cuisine, now that you're starting to get a taste of bringing your personal background into it, do you see that as something that you want to continue going forward and bringing into maybe opening your own place someday?
I always say there are easier ways to lose money than open a restaurant. So I'm going to go ahead and...
I don't know if there's easier ways. It's a pretty easy way to lose money. I mean, it's pretty hard. It's easy to lose money. It's a hard road. I will say that.
Yeah, I totally get it. This is kind of where I'm sort of at a crossroads because making Filipino food in the Top Chef finale could solidify like my future as far as like what I'm going to do in my career next. But to be honest with you, I'm still incredibly insecure. Like there's so many chefs out there, Filipino chefs that are doing way cooler stuff with Filipino food and just like, you know, really, really good at what they do because like it's something that they researched and they really are very proficient in. And, you know, like I think it's going to require me traveling back home and really like understanding what the cuisine is now. And so I think it's going to take a lot of work. I want to keep doing what I'm doing. I love cooking, you know, within the seasons. And I mean, who doesn't, right? But having cooked in California for the majority of my career, it's what I know. And so, you know, just, I don't know. It's all up in the air. I don't want to pigeonhole myself into cooking a certain cuisine.
Yeah, and I think you define your cuisine, whether you bring in more components of it or not. Like doing the pop-up series after our season of Top Chef, there were components and there were things that I did, but much like our finale, they weren't necessarily what you think of when you think of the food of Black America. or Southern cuisine. But you have these touches here and there because my background is mostly French and it is mostly fine dining in my career. So I'm also not ready to turn away from that. I love it. It's a huge part of who I am. And that's why I chose those restaurants to work at and why I learned the things that I did, because that's the food that I want to cook. But yes, I want to bring in a different flavor profile. So nobody can tell you what to cook or how to cook it or what cuisines to lean into except you.
Words right out of my mouth, Adrienne. That's so well put.
My one piece of unsolicited Top Chef winner advice from one
I think you've
winner
earned
to
it.
another.
You've earned the advice.
As I felt like after I won, everybody was like, now you got to do this. Now you got to do this. Now you got to do this. You don't got to do shit.
Yeah.
You don't have to do shit. You know what I mean? You got to where you are because of all the work you've done. You know what I mean? You won because of all the hard work you put in, because of your perspective, your point of view. You have amassed that skill set over an incredible career. When you're ready to do the thing you want to do, you'll do the thing you want to do. You don't have to do it now. You don't have to do it in 6 months. You do it whenever you want to do it. But it's like, I feel like there's so much external pressure right after the show of like, you got it. You fucking don't. You fucking don't. And I think, you know what I mean? That's the most important thing of like, you know, like even like we asked you the question because, you know, everyone is curious. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this massive thing just happened. What now? It's like, what now is like, I'm about to take a victory lap of victory laps.
Yes.
Baby. I'm going to go cook with my friends. I'm going to go cool events. You know what I mean? I'm going to be in, you know, South Beach and Aspen and do all this shit and like enjoy the living shit out of it. You earned it. Ride or die,
That's
baby.
right.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Listen,
Let's go.
I don't know if I would have won if you didn't campaign for me, okay? So
you know what? Like, hey, you can.
Joe
Adrienne,
made all the
Adrienne
difference.
will tell you, I am a ride or die. You know
Yes,
what I mean?
he
Like
is.
it's like once
Damn
I'm
right.
on your team, I'm like, oh wait, we're going, baby. We're
Homies
going.
till the end.
That's it.
the
That's it.
whole time, like I would present, you know, like we would go out there and Joe is like at the end of the table, like in front of us. He would just go like this, like, yeah, you got this. And I was like, yeah. I don't see Sarah or Stephanie doing that to Lawrence and Sherry.
It's probably just 3 hours of me and the mic going, yeah, motherfucker, yeah. You know what I mean? Like just saying like inaudible swear words that they're like, can he stop like just doing this and like ruining every audio clip from this finale?
Oh, amazing.
Oh, I'm so happy for you, Rhoda. Joe was so pumped to go for the
Adrienne.
finale, and I was so glad that as much as I didn't listen to him, so that it was still a little bit more of a surprise in hearing all this. So, you know, not listening to Joe sometimes pays off. But congratulations, Rhoda. Really, really
Thank you.
so
Congrats.
excited.
Thank you so much for taking the time. Enjoy your victory lap.
Oh, what a blast. That is it for this episode of The Chef's Cut. Be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening, especially if you're watching us on YouTube, where you can find full-length videos of every episode. And be sure to follow us at The Chef's Cut Pod on IG. For Joe Flamm, I'm Adrienne Cheatham, and this has been The Chef's Cut. Life beyond the pass.